Well, on today's show, we have two-time guest now, Stephen Mcwhirter. Stephen, thanks so much, man, for chatting with us.
Stephen, 2 times Mcwhirter. Great. It's good to be here.
Now, we'll say we do apologize because you were our second guest forever, like ever, on our podcast 3 years ago. And so, yeah, we had Wesley, and then you were second, and that was we listened back, and it was pretty cringe. And
I'll apologize for what I did.
No, cringe on our. So it's a different, yeah. So, but hey, thanks for saying yes again and being with us.
Man, sure, no problem, bro. Glad to be on here with y'all.
Yeah, being our second guest, I think we were still trying to figure out what in the world we wanted to do even. So our first, I always say, like, our first 10 people we had on, like, I'm so grateful to them because they were literally the ones that were like the guinea pigs of like, what do we want to talk about? Like, what is the Christian music, guys? Like, what is that? Like, what are we doing? And so, yeah, we listened back and it was like, man, I wish I would have asked some better questions. So this is part 2. This is redemption for us, man.
Well, that's okay. It is a process. Interviewer versus interviewee is an art, and you're getting it. That's awesome.
Yeah, we've had the opportunity to kind of figure it out over the years. You know, one of the things I wanted to kind of take a second jab at with you that's kind of developed is I think we started the podcast thinking we were going to talk to people that are really passionate about music. And we were going to talk about like what that looks like for them. Mm-hmm. But we found out that we talk about, I'm sorry, guys. My power just blipped. Am I still here?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sorry. Everything just went off in my house. All right, we're good. But we started the podcast thinking we would talk with people that were really passionate about music. But really what we found out is we were talking to people who are passionate about ministry, about things that God's placed on their heart. And music is just the tool that God has given them the gift to get to do the thing that they're passionate about, that God's put on their hearts. And so I'm excited to come back and have that conversation with you. Like we were just talking about it, but you're nominated for, a K-Love Fan Award, and that's nice. And I'm sure that, it's an honor. But sure. How are you, like, with Come Jesus Come, like, what's that like being nominated, but then with the heart behind, like, your heart of ministry, and you have people saying, oh, you're doing such a good job, we want to pat you on the back. Like, what's that balance like for you, man?
Be honest with you, man, I have not, I've known about the K-Love Fan Awards thing longer than people have found out about it on a whole. And I just haven't thought much about it. That sounds like I'm trying to be overly spiritual or something. I'm not. I just tried to go, that's awesome. Let's not make it everything. It's just a thing. I don't know, man. It's just a balance. I clock in at 9. I clock out at 5. This is a job that I get to do. I get to do it. I get to partner with the Lord and create things that I pray draws people to Him. And I think finding the balance for me with all those kind of accolades and stuff is honestly, I think it's something called not being 20. Like, no offense, there are a lot of 20-year-olds that I meet that I'm like, man, these guys are so grounded. I was never like that at 20. I've gone through a lot of stuff, and something I always tell people is like, the Lord loves you too much to let you go into your destiny till your character's ready.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you get there before your character's ready, you're going to make yourself and everyone around you miserable, and it's going to be a mess. So I think part of where I am right now is I really have through these years tried my best to like follow the Lord in it all.
Yeah.
And I think because of that, I hit some brick walls at times because I was really following Him, but I wasn't ready for what He wanted to do. My character wasn't ready. And sure. I feel like I'm in a pretty good spot where I've just kind of got my eyes on Him and I'm creating with Him. And it's different,
Yeah, and I'm sure with you, because we also have this conversation a lot with people where it's like, you said it's not being in your 20s, but also there's this thing called having children that kind of keeps you grounded and humbled, and because you can think you're cool.
A packed event in Vegas for like a Celebrate Recovery thing, and I led worship. There was this is so taboo to say, but whatever. There was a long line of people wanting to like say hi, and my 9-year-old walks up and just goes, "I don't get it.
Oh, man, I
I
love
was like out the face. I said, bro, I don't get it either. I do not get it.
That's awesome.
Jesus is much cooler than me, but so.
So, would you mind sharing with us, so your song "Come Jesus Come," kind of the story behind it, how it
Yeah.
got written? Yeah.
It is funny to be nominated for Song of the Year for that and breakout single for that. It's 4 years old. It's 4 years old.
Yeah.
And I love that for so many reasons because it really does prove that the Lord's timing is not our timing.
Mm-hmm.
And, as an industry and as people, we go, this is what we're going to do. We're going to put it out now. And if it doesn't work, we'll move on and blah, blah, blah. And we'll do these things. And God's like, I'm going to do this when I want to do it. And that's really what happened. So I remember it was back in the 2020, back in the beginning of the pandemic. I was sitting at home at my keyboard, my piano, and I had my Bible open and I was just reading the word and I was trying to just sing to him and mean it. And I don't know if you ever do this thing where you like read something in the Bible, like a passage of scripture or a verse or something that you've read many times before. But this one time you read it, it's like you've never read it before. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like it's just like it's first time, it's fresh. You're like, oh my gosh, because it really is the living word, right? And I'm reading Revelation, and I get to 22, verse 17, and it says, "The Spirit and the bride says, come." And again, I was like, wait a minute, I've never noticed this. Like I've read it before, I know about it, but I didn't focus or notice this one thing, which is the Spirit and the bride. The Spirit, that's the Holy Spirit. That's the Spirit of the living God. God is saying, Jesus, come. And I'm like, wait a minute. This isn't just this is literally the heart of the Father. Yeah. He wants Jesus to return. It says the Spirit and the bride. That's the church. That's you and I. We're called to join in. It's not just an idea where we go, some people are all about the return of Jesus. Some people are all about no, this is like a big deal, right?
Yeah.
And it says in the same verse, it says, the Spirit and the bride says, come. Let all who hear say, come. And in that moment, I realized that I'm not good at it. Like I'm good at like the cross and grace and all this other stuff. But as I started looking in the New Testament, it actually references the cross like 48 times, but it references the return of Jesus 318 times. Yeah. Isn't that crazy? I mean, for real, isn't that nuts? And I was like, well, how did I miss that? Like, it's mentioned a lot. One of the last things written in the entire Bible, literally, is that.
Revelation, yeah, that's it, right?
17. And I'm like, wow. So, and as I started looking into it, I wanted to be more practical. Even when I was writing the song, I was like, I want to be practical about this. Like, this world is a mess. And again, it was the beginning of the pandemic. It felt like the end of the world, right? Like I'm reading Revelation thinking I better catch up, right? I'm like, but
I need to see the end.
It really feels like the end of the world. But I was like, okay, Lord, we need you, and that still applies today. Everything's a mess. We need him, but also there's something about longing for him to return that actually makes us love people better here if we do it right. And it helps us build things that matter here more towards his return. So it's not this idea of you're so heavenly minded, you're no earthly good. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Have you heard that before? Yeah. Colossians 3 says, set your mind above where Christ is seated. So we can only be so heavenly minded, we're more earthly good. Like if we get it, you know what I mean? So I started writing these lyrics that I felt like kind of captured my heart around what I was learning and wanting to actually join with something that I knew was like something God, the Spirit of God was praying, right? And declaring. That's crazy. And I brought the song idea, which I had most like the idea together, and I brought it to Hank Bentley, a friend of mine, and Brian Fowler. My wife helped even. I love her name being on it. Like somebody was like, did I see CDC whining and I saw your name, Tara Mcwhirter? My wife's like, never awesome. Writes music. She just loves that. But, we wrote the song and I put it out in 2020 and, it just kind of was there. It was fine, and then fast forward to 2022, obviously we put it on, I just put it out randomly on TikTok or something and Instagram and stuff. And it went viral, But it wasn't like people were like, cool Christian song. But people were like, no, I really want Jesus to come. I really need him. Yeah, that was the beginning of that. Not to mention, because of that song, we started going live on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, all that kind of stuff, right? And people started getting saved on these live streams.
Yeah.
Like, we would start asking people if we could pray for them. And we have moderators and resources to connect them to churches. And we've been doing this since September 22 until today. And it's like over 39,000 people have come to Jesus through it. It's really cool. So, yeah.
And then Stephen, then this unknown singer picks up your song, Cece Winans, and puts it on her new album.
Yeah, nobody's ever heard of her.
Yeah. So tell us how that process worked. How did that happen?
Emerging artist.
Yeah.
Right. She's going to be the breakout emerging artist this year.
She's going to be the, yeah. We're just not catching
up. We've been watching this one. No, she, it's funny, honestly. It's not in Christian music. You don't have to call anybody and talk to them about anything. Like, hey, I'm going to do your song. Is that cool? You know what I mean? Sometimes they do. Like Christine DeClario is doing, putting it on her live record. She's recording it in Spanish in July. And so we would kind of talk because she had to do a translation of it. And so kind of work through that. But no, actually a friend of mine who is her piano player is really close to my piano player and stuff too. And so somebody was like, did you know CC Wine recorded your song? And I was like, I had no idea, actually. Wow. And yeah, so she put it out. That was pretty cool.
So how did she hear of your song? Did she just was on TikTok?
I have no idea. Apparently somebody in her camp was like, oh, you need to do this. She loved it. Oh, here's what's cool. My manager, Brad Fogarty, who's a great guy, by the way, just love him. He has a real heart for the Lord. Before I ever wrote that song, he told me I had a dream that you and CC Winan were singing a song about the return of Jesus.
Oh, wow.
And that's what's cool about it. It's not that it's cool that she's doing it, and fine, I'm doing it, whatever. But what's cool is we had nothing to do with her picking it up and doing it. Like, we had zero to do with that. We never pitched it to anyone over there, nothing like that. So
next version of it, you need to sing it with her.
I love that idea.
Yeah, but that'd be awesome.
I don't want to force anything. God's got it.
Now, you mentioned TikTok, and you've been doing that for a few years now. Is that something you started with ministry in mind? Or
I don't do anything with a platform without that in mind. So if you go to my social media page, you go to my website, you go to anything, there's this little tag that says worshiping Jesus and leading others to him. That is a very intentional tag. Like, I didn't just willy-nilly write that in my Instagram bio. You know what I mean? Like, it was, I thought it out. I looked over my life. I looked over the themes of my life and what God's been doing. And I said, okay, if this is who I am, these two things. So everything is just looked through that lens. And I believe, look, for you guys, me, anybody in ministry, where you actually want to reach people, not just to build a platform for yourself, but to actually build the kingdom, right?
Yeah. Right.
You have to be, I feel like, a learner. You have to be a lifelong learner. You don't want to get stagnant and be like, well, I don't understand this new thing called the internet. You know what I mean? It's like, you want to be, because you can say, oh, that's evil. But everything that's ever been and ever will be, and it can be used outside of the distortion of it, can be used for good, to glorify the Lord and to draw people to him, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's funny because when I first became a youth pastor, I would text my students and I wouldn't get any response. And I shoot them an Instagram message or on Snapchat message, and immediately, like, they would message me right back. And it's funny because now I'm at this point where it's like, I used to hate it. And now it's like, that's the only way I get a hold of my students, to the point where I've got kids sending me mission trip applications through Snapchat. Just like, I've evolved, man.
You're in now.
I'm in it, man.
It's okay until the app gets shut down. That's the only problem, right? It's like,
right. My students will tell me what the next thing is, I'm sure.
That's awesome. Yeah, you have like the inside scoop, man. That's like great.
Yeah. He's got the latest copy of the Gen Z Bible. Come on now.
Yeah, that's right.
Rocking that one, man.
That's great, man.
Hey, so we do have a fan question. We let our listeners know who's going to be coming on the podcast, and when we let them know that you were going to be on. We had Haley from Rock Hill, South Carolina, would like to know the story behind the song "My Life Is Proof," and if you'd be willing to share that.
It's my story, man. And by the way, hi, Haley. I wrote it because I grew up. My dad was an evangelist, and the guy I saw, my dad would get up and preach about Jesus, but behind closed doors, he would physically abuse my mom and stuff like that. So that set me down this path of just rebellion. So from 13 to my early 20s, I was in addiction, like drugs, selling drugs, all that kind of stuff. And a large part of that, I was crystal meth, which is crazy. Yeah, I had a radical encounter with Jesus at 3 o'clock in the morning, gave my life to him. I've never looked back. And I think because of that moment, he did it, by the way. He did it, not me. Really, I just took him at his word. I believed he could do it. And looking back, it's it's all real to me. It's so real to me because of that. That I'm the worst person to argue with about whether or not God's real, because it's I'm not going to try to win an argument with you. I don't mean that. It's I'm just why are we even having this conversation? He's real. Right. Why are we doing this right now?
Yeah.
And I feel I'm always holding on to that, but I look at my life and I look at what he's done. And that's really where that song comes from. Every lyric in that, I wrote that again with Hank Bentley, who we did Come Together and stuff. And so I told him, I think it's time for me to really write my story in a song. And so those lyrics were thought out heavily and intentionally in a way that were real, Is
that also 4 years old, that song?
No.
How long has it also been around for a while?
That's actually pretty new, and we might even be trying to take it to radio. I'm working on a radio version just to have it in the hole, ready to go.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's I had to ask, talking to such an emerging artist as yourself. It's funny because when I heard and that's what I'm saying. It's funny because when we heard Steven's at the emerging artist showcase, we're Louisville guys, so I was like, dude, I know Steven for a minute. Yeah, I don't know if he's emerging.
Hey, I'm grateful that they put me in there at all. That's awesome.
Yeah, I just think I was figuring it out. When you make it on K-Love radio or whatever, then you're new to K-Love and to everyone else.
It makes
Cody
sense.
Carnes was there last year emerging, and I was like, dude, Cody has been around for
he was. Fine. But look, I get it, because to their audience, it's new,
right?
And I'm not saying this to kiss up to them or anything. They're really great, and they've been really sweet to me, and they believe in what God's doing, and that's cool,
Yeah.
Because coming into this, sometimes you wonder, you know what I mean? But it's been good. So.
Well, when you write songs, you've talked about it a little bit, but how does that process work for you, Steven? Do you have a lot, thousands of voice memos in your cell phone, or just jot notes down and put them on your refrigerator? How does that work for you?
Yeah, the voice memos thing is out of control. Let's put it on that. The voice memo, it's I don't even. I'm just gonna look. Hang on a second. I want to see what number I'm at.
You got
just on my phone,
gigs.
I'm at 2,664 voice memos.
Hey.
So yeah, it's a little ridiculous. I think probably at this point it's kind of out of control.
Man, there it is.
But I feel creating with. I love to write with people because it's relational and we get to hang out there. So it's you create relationships in that way, and that's really great. But at the end of the day, I'm just literally sitting here just trying to be with him and sing to him, and ideas come. And one of the good things for me, I think, that keeps me just doing it, one, I love it. I enjoy it. The more I do it, the more I want to do it. If I take a break for too long, it's a little harder to get back on the horse. But if I'm doing it, I just want to keep doing it. It's so fun. But what in the last couple of years, especially in the last year, I started this just really helpful work ethic of putting out 6 videos on YouTube a month, every month. And honestly, I'll be totally practical with you guys. That's 60% of my income. So it's really been awesome. So I don't have to rely solely on being on the road. That's huge for my family, because I know the Lord is just always felt this like, I'm not going to sacrifice your family, Stephen, for this.
Yeah.
And that's been really good for me. But so that thing there, doing that and putting out stuff constantly, like every month, putting a song on Spotify and all this, Apple and just streaming. So the songs have somewhere to go, like all the time. Like I don't have to always send them to a label to go, hey, put this out. I can just go put it on YouTube without asking any permission, do whatever I want, and just see what the Lord does with it. And so it makes the songwriting process more enjoyable, because I'm not just sitting there going, is this a radio hit, or is this a single? Is this going to go on a record? I hope they like it. It's like, who cares? I'm going to do whatever I want. I just put it out nonstop. And people let you know very quickly, because I've gotten to a place now where I have just enough people watching what's going on that I have like some data, which sounds unspiritual, but it's actually it's people, right? It's people, and they're reacting, and the Lord's kind of speaking through that. And I'm like, gosh, you're breathing on this one. That's awesome. Okay, let's take this over and put it on streaming music, and oh, hey, that's doing really well. Let's take it to radio. Instead of just setting in a label with a bunch of people going, or like 10 people, and saying, do you guys think this will work? Yeah, I don't know. Let's put a bunch of money behind it. And let's put it out and let's hope it does. And if it doesn't, well, it failed. We'll see you down the road. Right?
Right.
Instead of just like, hey, let's just partner with the Lord, put out music and see what he does.
Right? He was like, hey, this many people that saw Jesus are still alive. Go ask them. That's data right there, right?
Hey, that's great. That's hey, wow. Analytics, Bibles.
Paul's like, I got the spreadsheet. It's right here. You want to talk to
analytics. This YouTube analytics reminds me much of our Lord Jesus. That's great.
That's good.
Hey, Stephen, so we didn't do this with you the first time, but our listeners have gone to we didn't, right, Jacob?
No,
it was too early, right?
We're too early.
But our listeners
my
listeners have come to.
My favorite animal is a squirrel. My favorite color is purple. I'm just those guys.
Hey, listen, so it is like favorite animal stuff. Yeah, so our listeners love it because it gets it's just like it's like favorite things, man. This is it. This is what they like.
Let's go.
So I'm gonna ask you, we'll ask you a category, and you let us know your favorite thing in that category.
Yeah.
Favorite food?
Sushi.
Oh, amen,
dude. What's your favorite movie?
Oh my gosh, don't ask me that. Gosh, I really don't think I can answer that one. It's got to be one of the Lord of the Rings movies.
Yes.
It's got to be. Now, everybody says Return of the King, but I'm going to go with Twin Towers, because when I saw it in the theaters, there was nothing like it at that time. Now we get bombarded with movies with those kind of things, but we'd never seen anything like that Helm's Deep, bombardment. It was the most. When I saw it in the theater, I was like, "This is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life." So it's like, I don't know,
it's amazing. Yeah, my brother, Chris, the other guy on our podcast who's not here right now, we're gonna go June 8th, 9th, and 10th. They're doing a 3-day marathon of all the director's cuts, extended edition in the movie theater.
24 hours long.
3 days.
Are they doing the Hobbits and those all together in order?
I don't think they're doing the Hobbit. They're just doing the original trilogy, the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Yeah. So, man, I lost my spot. Do you have a favorite musical artist of all time?
She would ask me that. I really, really now look, in Christian music, it's tough. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Man, I think I have to say Al Green.
All right.
Okay. I think he's the first.
Well, I like Motown music, like old school Motown stuff. Like I've got a lot of records of that kind of stuff. And at one point after I got saved, I was with some Christian buddies, and we got in we started like a Motown cover band where all we did was like Otis Redding, Sam Cooke, and like all that kind of stuff. Maybe it's Otis Redding. I mean, his voice is incredible. Okay, but those guys, like we would do 4 hours a night, 4 days a week, just all that kind of stuff. Dream duet. Well, literally, my manager had a dream about it, so CeCe Winan. Let's go.
There you go.
I know I'm not on American Idol, but hey.
Hey, they had church though on that. I saw it.
Dude, that was so cool. I love that.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite ice cream flavor?
Butter pecan. I answered that one so fast.
Hey, let's get
favorite food. The food one's like, I mean, like, I don't even bat it out. I'm like,
I got to debate it. I don't got to debate it.
Do you have a favorite podcast?
Oh, Christian music guy podcast. No, I do love you guys. You're great. Wow, that's a great Crazy Love. I would say the Francis Chan podcast. Something about him. I just like totally endeared to him. My face not put on him, but I do like it. Because he's always like, I don't know, man. What do you think? I mean, the word says, you know? What do
you do such a good job at that.
He's just like, bro, he's just working it out in front of us. I'm like, I love it. Come on, you know?
Have you ever heard of Blurry Creatures?
No. Should I check it out?
You should. Yeah.
I'm writing it down on my phone like a grown up.
There's actually
it's funny about Francis Chan story. So when blurry creatures. They look at like Bigfoot and aliens and stuff like that from a biblical perspective. Yeah,
I'm into
biblical perspective. It's pretty cool.
Somebody I went to. Hang on, now we're talking about important stuff.
I'm waiting.
The Red River Gorge. My friend went to Red River Gorge, and apparently, which is not far from here, apparently they had a 3-hour lecture on Bigfoot. That people were sitting there, was packed. I mean,
man,
there is a whole CCM like club basically on Blurry Creatures. Like Todd Smith from Selah introduced us to
so
it.
They all believe in Jesus plus Bigfoot and ET and all that. Okay, got it. Oh no, I'll skip that small group. Let's move on.
Hey, they're giving out free desserts, sushi.
How they get you? Next thing you know, you're wearing a tinfoil hat, man.
Putting his phone in the microwave.
Give us a favorite Bible verse, Stephen.
Yes, I do. I have a couple, but the first one that comes to mind is Philippians 2:13. And it says, God is in you, giving you the power. God is in you, giving you the desire and the power to do the things that please him. That verse is so cool. I mean, if you really listen to it and think about it, I know you can do that with the whole Bible. God is in you. He's the one giving you the desires, the want to you don't have yet. And the power, which is the ability to do the things you can't do. It's crazy.
Okay.
But, you know, the one thing that he asks of you in John 6:29 says, is to believe. It says, the only work the Father asks of you is to believe in Jesus, right? To believe that Jesus did it. And that's pretty cool. There's a lot of grace in that for some people, especially artists and people. Don't forget, if your desires aren't there yet, go to the one who gives you the desires you don't have yet. You know, it's really cool.
That's good, man. And I love that it's not, it's not limited by age or how long you've known the Lord. Like I was just having this conversation the other day, Romans 8, where it says the same spirit that raised Jesus from the dead is in you. It's like, I can look at my middle school student and say, I don't have a bigger spirit of God than you do.
Yeah.
It's the same. Your prayer is just as effective. It's like, because they're like, oh no, but you've been following the Lord for, you read the Bible all the way through. And it's like, did you read this? The same spirit that raised Jesus from the dead.
That's so great.
Better than yours. It's the same one.
That's really great. That's very good. It's very good because it levels the playing field in areas where a lot of people want there to not be a level playing field. Where they want to
they want to be elevated.
They want to be elevated. People
want to sprinkle a little more of my spirit on Stephen and hold back on the other people here.
Oh boy. If you want to know where I stand with that, all you have to do is read my writer, which for people listening, the writer is the thing that when you're booking someone to come out, mine is one page and it says
green
stuff
M&Ms.
it says stuff like, we're going to eat together. I don't need a green room. Let's just hang out, Yeah.
Well, Stephen, what is next for you and how can our viewers and listeners keep up with you?
There's lots of things to go to, but worshipjesus.life, not .com, .life. Worshipjesus.life. That's my website, and it sends you to all the places. If you want to connect, YouTube, everything, that's the easiest way to do it. People are going to butcher my last name, so I'm not even going to try to get them to spell it. I was at a tailor today, which I never go to a tailor, but I had to get something fixed. And I went to this lady, and she said, how do you spell your name? She said, what's your name? I said, Stephen. She wrote Stiven. I was like, I give up. Give up. If she can't get that right, I'm not going to tell her how to actually
You're not saying Mcwhirter.
I'm not giving you Mcwhirter. I've never seen anything like that. Oh my God.
And well, Stephen, to wrap up, we'd like to see if you'd be willing to share something that God's been doing in your life recently that would help build up and encourage our listeners' faith.
Yeah, I think probably the biggest thing is like, I've been in the music stuff and industry for a long time now, kind of, but there's definitely some elevation that's going on that's crazy, right now. And the thing the Lord's really highlighting with me is 1 Peter 1:15-16. But basically, at the one point, it says, "Be holy as I am holy." And this idea of actually holiness is like set apart from the things of this world. And there, a lot of times, even in Christian music and the church in general, there's a lot of people that are like, hey, it's cool. You know what I mean? Let's just do this thing. Let's go out and get drunk. Let's go out and do this. Let's do that. You'd be surprised. And I'm like, I'm not trying to be judgy about it or like that. It's just like, no, I don't. It's not a list of things I don't get to do anymore. It's now who I get to be. I get to be free. I get to be these things. You know what I mean? And I feel like just the Lord's calling me to this level of like holiness that is actually awesome and exciting and not a bummer. It's holiness is set apart is to be like the Lord. And what's he like? He's full of grace. He's full of love. He's full of joy. You know what I mean? It's kind of like we have a broken idea of what holiness means, especially in the Bible Belt of the United States, right? We have a really broken idea what that means, but ultimately it's what we get to be. We get to be free. We get to be sons and daughters of the living God. It's awesome. So I don't know. Just kind of feel like he's calling me to this place of be set apart for me,
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Well, Stephen, thanks so much, man, for taking the time and chatting with us. And
man.
This will air after the K-Love Awards, but good luck this weekend, man, on Song of the Year and Breakout Single of the Year. And you're performing with I know Tarian, and who else is going to be up there with you?
So I'm doing two things, kind of surprised. I'm doing the emerging artist, and honestly, I know Tarian's there. I don't remember who all else is there.
Yeah. I remember seeing her name in your name.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know. But that'll be a lot of fun. My piano player is the guy that plays piano.
Brandon Heath.
Be with me. Yeah, Brandon, and he's cool. You know what he did? And I'm going to tell you this. You can put this in the podcast. Let me tell you what Brandon Heath did. He is the MC for the Emerging Artists Showcase at the K-Love. And so he called or tried to get coffee with every single one of the artists. And so him and I were on the phone like an hour and a half, just like hanging out, and getting to know each other. And I thought that was so cool of him.
That is awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, so we're doing that Saturday. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then I am performing I Thank God with House Fires in the award show. Yeah.
Okay.
They want me to wear denim and white. And I don't know.
White denim?
White denim, that would be great. Denim white. I don't even have that. I don't know.
That sounds like Blake, man.
I have a wardrobe like Fred Flintstone. It's all the same thing. It's all black. So if I get like chocolate milk on me, nobody can tell.
All I'm saying is Temu, bro. Temu. You can find it on there.
I wish, it really is like, what am I doing? Okay, so we'll be fine. Well, now you guys will know. And when you're at the show and you watch me wear it, you're going to be like laughing because you're going to be like,
yeah. Is that what you're going to wear? You're going to wear that on the red carpet?
Dude, I am not a coat guy. I'm not a dressy suit guy. I don't know.
We always wear a suit coat and then like jeans or a t-shirt underneath. The first year we didn't know. The first year we didn't know.
Now you guys are from Louisville, so you get this joke. I think I might dress like I'm on Dixie Highway. I'm going to wear a hoodie. And I'm going to wear shorts.
You get away with it, dude.
Flip-flop. I'm going to wear a hoodie, shorts,
with socks.
That is Dixie Highway, y'all. It be snowing outside. I'll be in flip-flop, shorts, and a hoodie.
That's great.